Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it is Monday. It's May 6th. This will be our chart lesson for the day. And before we get started on the chart lesson, I wanted to read one email to you that I received over the weekend. This trader, basically you've heard me preach over and over about how important it is to sim trade every day and take every trade so you can study your tendencies and figure out what you do wrong. And this trader sent me this email. It says, Mac, I started doing exactly what you said below with my study, and it's amazing how I started seeing my trading habits when I just took sim trades. I felt I met the rules rather than just sure things or whatnot. My personality is to worry. He goes on, talk about all the things he worries about. I won't read all that. But basically then he says, I could see how I would try and tell the price action what it was doing instead of following it. It was actually very amusing to notice my personality trying to trade the charts rather than our rules. Not sure if that makes sense, but it made me realize the price action absolutely does not need my influence or worry to impact the price action. It's going to do what it does, and I have to follow the rules. It's almost comical for me to state that because of how obvious it is, but I was actually trading that way and had no idea until the past 4 weeks of adjusting my study to identify my habits. Basically, start doing what I've been telling you every day is if you're not profitable, get on the simulator, take every trade you see that you think meets our criteria and take the trade and let it play out. And don't worry if you're right or wrong until the end of the day. Then study those trades. You'd be shocked what you see. And this trader goes on to say, anyway, by doing what you said, I've improved more over the past month than over the previous 3 years. Now, I didn't ask for this. This trader just sent it to me. I don't know why he'd have any reason to lie. Trust me when I tell you, um, that's the secret. You got to get the experience. You've got to get the screen time, and you can't afford to do it live because you can't take enough trades to study. You need to figure out what your tendencies are and correct them. And the only way you can do that is by taking trades and studying your trades. And obviously it worked for him. Suddenly it stuck out like a sore thumb. He saw what he was doing wrong. He corrected it, and suddenly he's doing really well. I want to read that last sentence one more time. It says, anyway, by doing what you said, I've improved more over the past month, the past 30 days now, than over the previous 3 years of trading. Now, if that's not powerful, I don't know what is. And so I wanted to read that email to you, and I'll say it one more time. The only way to get better at this, and the only thing you should be doing if you're not profitable, is sim trading every day, taking every single trade you see that you think fits our criteria. If you're doing anything else and you're not profitable, you're probably just going to spin your wheels because trading alone won't make you better. And you can't get enough time and experience by trading live when you're only taking a trade or two a day. When you get live, that's when you want to try to start taking a trader, 1 to 3 trades a day, making your goal. But before that, while you're learning, you've got to have more experience than that. So get on the simulator, take every trade you see that you think meets our criteria, and don't worry if you're right or wrong. Let the trade play out. Either it's a winner or it's not. And at the end of the day, go back and study every one of those trades. And just like this trader said, he learned more in 30 days than he had the previous 3 years. And I tell people that and they get offended. That's what really, you try to help somebody and they get offended. They say, oh, that's a newbie type. You're trying to pass on newbie stuff to me. No, if you're not profitable, that's what you need to be doing. But people don't seem to get it. But this guy got it, and hopefully he's turned a corner. He seems to think he has. I didn't ask him to send me that email. It just came to me out of the blue. And so there's somebody listening to what I said, and suddenly they're having success. So anyway, that's the secret to getting better. It's not a Discord. It's not somebody mentoring you. It's not any of that stuff. Because if I mentored you every day, sure, it's going to help a little bit, but the cost it's going to take is not, and you're not going to learn that much. The idea is to figure out what your tendencies are and to correct them. And you can do that on your own for free if you just take the trades every day. But you have to be on the simulator to do that because you can't afford to do it live. But people are so eager to trade live and so eager to be a donor. They just don't believe me when I tell them they're going to be a donor if they try to trade early. So anyway, here's a look at our daily chart. Somebody sent me their chart and they had adjusted this a little bit. And let's just adjust it and see if it fits. That's probably how I would adjust it right there on the low end and move it up a little bit. That tends to fit really well across the midline. And the way they had drawn it, they didn't get a break down here. So I think we get a break either way. Maybe they drew theirs like that. And maybe that still fits okay. It still looks okay. So maybe we haven't had a break yet. But normally I would draw it right at the point of that close on this bar right here. And that gives us a break. And you see how it does fit on that green one right at the close. And right at the close of that red one. So let's adjust this slightly, but I still think we've had a break there. We'll see. We'll follow through. I mean, that's sometimes you get it. I mean, close is. I mean, is that a convincing close outside? I don't know. If this thing kept going, it wouldn't surprise me at all. Just say, hey, even though we had a slight close below it, it's not convincing. If it had closed way down here, you'd say, sure, we had a convincing close outside. So we'll have to see. But as you get more price action, always adjust. Try to adjust your chart a little bit to see, just to make sure you're still on track. And that as you get more price action, it gets easier to draw the channels. It's much harder when you're starting way out here at the very beginning. And sometimes you need to adjust it slightly. And we did that here, but I still think we got to close outside, even adjusting it on mine the way I would draw it. Not saying that trader's wrong, because I could be wrong still, but that's the way I'm going to leave it for now. And we'll see what happens. So we may be on the way to a retest here. If we get them measured, notice how we went up. We actually had two legs up and then a correction. And we're making another leg up now. I would count that as one leg. And we could get a measured leg and turn back down and make another leg like this. But we could be headed for a retest. So we'll just have to see. I mean, this has been a fairly strong rally the last 3 days here. So we'll see what continues on from here. But yeah, we'll adjust this slightly here, and we'll see how it all plays out. But anyway, you see today's bar, very bullish day. We've almost got that measured move in place there. But let's flip over to the 2000 tick chart. Take a look at it. Definitely a bullish day. And we went sideways for a little while, but we ended up working on a second leg up. We didn't quite get there, but we attempted it. But let's flip over there and take a look at it, and we'll go through the trades. Okay, here it is. No news items today, so this was a pretty good rally considering there was no news or anything to kind of affect the market. But there's quite a few trades in here off this range. But you can see we had a couple of swings. That we had this original trend with a break and a couple of legs up to a new high. Then we just went sideways. Prices never noticed that we had a gap. Here's where we opened. Here's where we closed previously, and so there's a gap in there. And prices attempted to break lower and fill it, but we could never get back below the opening, the regular session opening, which is that yellow line. So we never filled that gap. And this turned out to be a failed break lower that led to attempt on a second leg up, similar to the first leg. And we didn't quite make it. And it's after 5 o'clock, so we've started the second day. I'm a little late getting this done. I had some crazy McAfee virus come up on my screen about 3 o'clock, and it took me an hour to figure out how to get it off there. If you have that issue and you can't figure it out, send me an email. I'll tell you how to do it. I'm not going to try to go into it now, but it was pretty simple once I figured it out. It's basically with some kind of notification, and it had put a notification into my somewhere in my settings. So But basically, if you right click on that pop-up when it comes up, it'll give you some options on notifications. Click on those and it'll take you into your notifications, and you'll see there's a little website name down there, and you'll see it. But if you get that, it's a pain in the rear to get rid of. So um, okay, sorry I had a slight interruption. I think we were talking about the two legs up. We didn't make it, but let's zoom in here. We'll go through the trades and we'll wrap today up. But yeah, I was a little late today because of that pop-up. I couldn't get it to quit popping up, and I wasn't going to try to do the video with it popping up every 30 seconds. So it took me a little bit of work. I mean, I found several. You can Google it, and it gives you several ways to fix it, but none of those worked for me. I ended up figuring it out on my own, and basically what I did when the pop-up came up down here, I just right-clicked on it, and it gave you notifications and stuff, and you can actually see the name of the website there. Click on your notifications, and when you find that website, delete it out of there, and that fixed it instantly. So, and if you need some help with it, send me an email. I'll help you out with it. But anyway, 7 o'clock coming up through here. We had a first entry and then a second entry, but this signal bar is just not good enough. This one's right off the trend line, but it's not the signal bar. And sometimes, sometimes you say, okay, well, that's right off the key entry point. It's very bullish. And it would have worked, but you see what happens here. It goes just a little higher than it comes back, and it would have stopped you out probably. Actually, maybe it wouldn't have stopped you out, but it could have. It could have come close. As tempting as that is, just wait. And you see a few minutes later, you get a first entry, second entry. I marked that one green because it's not a perfect signal bar, but we tried to go lower 3 times there, and it is a second entry long. If I probably would have made this blue except for the 2-bar matching high there. But if you put those 2 bars together, it's a bullish bar there. So maybe you take that trade anyway. I marked it green. There's a high or low here with a very bullish bar. I like it. It's real. You're pressing it on the high, but this has been a fairly strong move up, and so you're going to make a new high. You don't know this is going to continue on like this, but you should be able to get a scalp out of that. I marked it blue. I went back and forth. It's real close. You could argue for it to be green because technically there's not enough room there. But after making this second entry, we're making higher highs here. And there's another second entry here. I marked this one green because, again, there's not enough room. And this one is a little more congested. It looks congested. So you got to be careful. And plus, we've already had the break in a new high now. So now you got to be careful, and you need to be smarter. Maybe you still take that one. I probably skip it. Runs up, and then this is all congestion in here. Don't enter in this stuff. This one's tempting. It is a second entry because you'd count that as a new high. First entry, second entry. If you'd had a triple test down here, I'd probably say take that trade, but there's not. So just sit tight, and you can see it would have ended up working, but you got to ride all this out. And then we finally made a new high. We tested it 2 more times. So that's a triple test with a fairly bearish bar. I like that one. Runs back down. It bounces off the lows, but no setup there. Comes back. Turns down. Perfect signal bar. This is like a quadruple test by this time. Take that trade. It bounces a little early this time, and you make a little higher high. So you got to be careful with this one. Generally, you probably want to wait on a lower high here. Because you got a 2-bar matching high and that 1 tick higher that turns down, they're probably going to trap some longs. People trying to get long up there because they teach people that's where to, enter on the breakout, where you need to do just the opposite. And so maybe you fade that one. I like that setup because of the 2-bar matching high and that 1 tick higher, and it turns instantly. You just almost know you got them trapped in. As long as you got room back to the midline, I'd say take that trade. You get a lower high here. It wasn't quite back to the original resistance, but I still like that one. Boom, it runs down, and you actually break out the other side. Now they're going to trap them all out the other side. So again, maybe you take that, but again, you're always better off to wait on the higher low, which is here. I didn't quite like this one. It wasn't a perfect solid signal bar. It's somewhat an inside bar, but it does have a 2-bar matching low, so it qualifies. You could take that trade. I marked it green, and you notice how we kind of just chop along until we finally make a higher low here with a nice signal bar, and that is a second entry long too. So I like that one. There's plenty of room back to the midline. This one's tempting because it makes another higher high, but it's not a perfect signal bar, and it's right into the midline, and you see it takes it a little bit. It actually snaps back. I would be more apt to enter here than here, to be honest. You could probably argue for that one to be green because as long as there's enough room, but I don't think there is, but let me just verify that. There just is enough room, so I'm definitely going to leave that green. And it turns down right off the highs again, but you don't have a good enough signal bar. By the time you get this lower high, it looks like congestion. So I don't think you want to enter there. We drop on down, and of course it fails out again, or it breaks out the bottom again, and of course what do we expect? We expect it to fail. That signal bar is no good, but it does give you a higher low here with plenty of room back. Very nice, strong signal bar. It breaks lower first. That's your ideal entry for a higher low. And if you catch that one, you may get a runner here and off to the races to the other side. Now, I tell you, this one is tempting as well because you got a new high, first entry, second entry. And it's about the same as that other one. So, you know, there's five. It's just barely enough ticks there. You do get a break outside the new high here, and you didn't quite get a new low there, and you're not back to the lows. So you're just kind of, but you know, we did bounce a few times right here at the midline or off the EMA. So maybe you take that one. I'd probably skip it. It turns out to be a great trade. And it turns out to be a great trade, and then turns back down. I would wait now because we've already broke out here once. This time we made a higher high, and then we're trying to go higher again. Although it looks like this had already played out here, and then we run up again. So now you got to be concerned there's not maybe a bigger trend channel here. So I'd be wary, even though it's way away from the EMA, and it's probably going to come back at least test the breakout area. I would wait. I wouldn't take that. I'd wait for the lower high. And that doesn't come till here. And you see it's back inside. And I marked this one. This one's real close to being green because it could just go to right here, make a new low and reverse, which is what it did. But it still gave you enough to scalp out and then reverse. So I went back and forth about how to label. I liked it in real time, so I marked it. But you could easily argue for that to be green because you see how it does reverse, and then we're going higher. And this is looking like one of those strong, tight channels. I mean, we're bouncing off of it multiple times. So by the time you get here, maybe you take those. This is much more advanced, so they're just first entries, but it's a tight, strong, and you can see the dojis and the very shallow corrections. And at the very least, you would probably look for 2 legs here, and that's closer to what we got than looking for the bigger measure. Actually, we went on higher after that, but that would have given you a target here before we corrected and went higher again. So maybe you take those, but here you get a clear first entry, second entry, first break. Plenty of room to the highs. I like that trade. That's a quick, easy, you know, just almost a standard second entry, 2 legs back to the EMA. I mean, it's when you've had a strong trend, that's a nice setup. Low risk. It's only 5 ticks. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that one. Here you come back to the EMA again after 1 leg up, but it's like a first, second, third leg, and you've had no break of this and new low yet, so you have to sit tight. This would have been a nice short here if you had a better signal bar, because you could have assumed that's a triple test, but it's also a second entry short. But the signal bar is just not good enough. We do get a lower high here. I marked it green. It moves a good bit, but it comes back, so I think that's good enough to be a lower high. You'd look for a kind of an equal leg down there for your second leg down. And you can see that's pretty much what you got. So I marked that one green. I think that would be fine. It's starting to get a little late in the day, but I still liked it. I didn't mark it red, but I marked it green. If you saw that and understood what's going on, I think you're okay there. And that pretty much took us into 230, and then of course, like usual, they rally it when the volume's starting to get low. They rally it here. Didn't quite make their measured move. That's how I saw it. Basically, I think we've got two legs up today. We didn't quite make the measured move on this chart. We didn't quite make it on the daily chart. If we turn down now, that could mean we're going lower. We'll just have to wait and see, because we could continue to go higher tomorrow. But anyway, there it is. A leg up, sideways, and then another leg up. Didn't quite make the measured move. So, yeah, not much else I can say about today. That's a really tight channel there too, so you don't have a lot of room. You just basically want to take them off the lows, and maybe the higher low or the lower high. That's about all you can do with that type of channel. So anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. Hope you had a good trading day. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow. I'm done for today. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com. And we'll see you next time.